Anesthesiologists, what was something you won't forget hearing from someone that was under? I've been putting people under for 18 years. You hear everything during surgery, confessions, secrets, random babbling that means nothing. Most patients forget they even spoke. But Evangeline's words still haunt me. She was 34, scheduled for emergency gallbladder removal. Her husband Dorian sat in the waiting room, fidgeting with his wedding ring. Normal couple, normal procedure. Nothing about her case seemed unusual. As the propofol coursed through her veins, Evangeline's eyes fluttered closed. That's when she started talking. "The children in the walls are getting hungry," she whispered, her voice eerily calm. "Dorian feeds them every Tuesday. 3 little ones behind the kitchen cabinets." I exchanged glances with the surgical team. Anesthesia often triggered strange dreams, but then she continued. "Tell Detective Morrison about the playground. The one that burned down 15 years ago. Dorian was there that night with the gasoline." My hands froze over the monitoring equipment. Detective Morrison was real. I'd seen him on the news investigating cold cases. "He keeps their shoes in the basement freezer," she said, tears streaming down her unconscious face. 23 pairs, all different sizes. The room went silent, except for the steady beep of monitors. I tried to stop him after the first one, but he said he'd hurt me too. "I've been pretending not to know for 12 years. Dr. Patel, our head surgeon, motioned for me to increase the sedation, but Evangeline wasn't finished. "There's a hidden room behind our bedroom closet. That's where he takes them before," she trailed off, her body going limp. Surgery proceeded normally, but her words echoed in my mind. When she woke up in recovery, I had to ask, "Evangeline, do you remember anything from before surgery?" She looked confused. "Just counting backwards from 10. Why? You mentioned some children and Detective Morrison." Her face went white as paper. She grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. "What exactly did I say?" she demanded. Before I could answer, Dorian walked in carrying flowers and a bright smile. "How's my beautiful wife?" he asked, kissing her forehead. I watched Evangeline's face transform into a mask of forced happiness. "Much better now," she lied smoothly, but her eyes met mine over his shoulder. The terror in them was unmistakable. That night, I couldn't sleep. I researched the playground fire from 15 years ago. 7 children died. The case was never solved. Then I looked up missing children reports from our area over the past 12 years. 23 cases, all unsolved. I called Detective Morrison's tip line and left an anonymous message about Dorian's address. 2 days later, the news exploded. Local man arrested in connection with historical child murders. Evidence found in hidden basement room. My phone rang that evening. Unknown number. "Doctor," Evangeline's voice whispered. "Thank you for saving me." "Are you safe?" I asked. "For now. But there's something else you need to know. Dorian wasn't working alone." My blood went cold. "His brother Caspian works at the children's hospital, the night shift, and there's a third partner. Someone you know." "Who?" I demanded. "Someone at your hospital. Someone who has access to patient files. Someone who's been watching you since Tuesday." The line went dead. I sat in my kitchen, realizing that exposing Dorian had only revealed the tip of something much darker. My hands shook as I checked every lock twice. A shadow moved past my window. The shadow paused outside my kitchen window for exactly 30 seconds before disappearing. I counted each heartbeat, my fingers wrapped around the phone, Detective Morrison's number already pulled up on the screen. But something stopped me from hitting call. What if the person watching me was Morrison himself? I killed all the lights and moved to my bedroom, pulling the curtains tight. Sleep was impossible. Every creak of the house settling, every car passing on the street sent adrenaline shooting through my system. At 3 a.m. I gave up and made coffee, sitting in my darkened kitchen with my laptop. I started with Caspian. The Children's Hospital website listed him as a night shift orderly in the pediatric ward. 5 years of employment. Clean record according to what I could find online. But that meant nothing now. Then I dove deeper into the playground fire. The news archives painted a horrific picture. 7 children trapped in the burning structure during an overnight campout. The fire department said it started near the equipment shed, but arson was never proven. The investigation went cold after 6 months, but buried in a follow-up article from 2 years later, I found something that made my stomach drop. The fire had started during a city council meeting about removing the playground due to safety concerns. Only 12 people knew about that meeting in advance. One of them was Dr. Kenneth Blackwood, the hospital's chief anesthesiologist, my mentor, the man who trained me, who'd recommended me for this position, the man who had access to every patient file, every surgery schedule, every piece of information about who came through our operating rooms. I slammed the laptop shut and immediately reopened it. I needed to be sure. Dr. Blackwood had worked at the hospital for 23 years. He'd been here when every single missing child case occurred. He would have known about Evangeline's surgery, known she was married to Dorian, known everything. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "Stop digging or join them." I screenshot the message and forwarded it to 3 different cloud accounts. If something happened to me, there would be evidence. Then I called in sick and drove to the police station. Detective Morrison was a tired-looking man in his 50s with gray stubble and coffee-stained shirts. His desk overflowed with case files, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. "I'm the one who called in the tip about Dorian," I said without preamble. His eyes sharpened. "The anonymous caller? Dr. Rachel Chen. I'm an anesthesiologist at Memorial. Dorian's wife said something under anesthesia that led me to you." Morrison gestured to a chair. "Tell me everything." I laid out Evangeline's confession, my research, the threatening text. When I mentioned Dr. Blackwood, Morrison's expression darkened. "We've been wondering how they selected victims," he said slowly. Dorian worked construction, but he somehow knew which kids would be missed least. Foster children, runaways, kids from broken homes, medical records, I said. Emergency room visits would show family situations. Dr. Blackwood reviews every anesthesia case in the hospital. He'd know everything about our patients' lives. Morrison nodded grimly. We'll need evidence. Solid proof. I can get it, but I need protection. They're watching me. How soon can you access his files? Tonight. He works late on Thursdays, but he always leaves by 9 to catch the news. I have master access to the anesthesia database. Morrison assigned 2 plainclothes officers to watch my house while I went to work. Dr. Blackwood greeted me normally when I arrived for my evening shift, showing no sign he suspected anything. Feeling better? He asked. You looked pale yesterday. Much better, thanks. But I caught him watching me throughout the evening. When I checked the schedule, he'd moved himself to assist on my surgeries for the rest of the week. That had never happened before. At 8:45 p.m., Dr. Blackwood gathered his things. Don't stay too late, he said, pausing by my desk. This place can be dangerous after hours. The words sent ice through my veins. I waited until 9:15, then accessed his computer using my override credentials. What I found was worse than I'd imagined. Patient files with handwritten notes in the margins, red marks next to children from troubled homes, a separate database hidden in a subfolder labeled recreational activities. Inside were photos, 23 children, all the missing cases, all smiling in what looked like normal family photos, except they were taken in the same room, the same hidden room Evangeline had described. My hands shook as I copied everything to a secure drive. Then I saw the newest entry, a photo taken 3 days ago. A 10-year-old girl named Luna Rodriguez, scheduled for appendix surgery next Tuesday. Her file noted she was in foster care, recently placed, minimal family oversight. I called Morrison immediately. I found everything. Photos, files, they're planning to take another child next week. Get out of there now. We're sending backup. But as I hung up, the lights in the hallway went out. Footsteps echoed from the main corridor. Slow, deliberate. Coming toward the anesthesia department. I grabbed the drive and moved to the emergency exit. The stairwell was pitch black. I felt my way down. One hand on the rail, holding my breath. A door slammed above me. Then another set of footsteps, lighter, moving fast. She's in the stairwell, a voice called. Not Dr. Blackwood. Someone younger. I reached the ground floor and pushed through the exit door. The parking garage was dimly lit, my car 50 yards away. I ran. Engine noise echoed behind me. Headlights swept across the concrete as a van rounded the corner. I dove between parked cars as it screeched past, then sprinted for my Honda. My hands fumbled with the keys. The van had turned around and was heading back. I got the engine started just as it reached my row. In my rearview mirror, I saw 2 figures get out. Dr. Blackwood and a younger man in scrubs I didn't recognize. I floored it toward the exit, tires squealing. The van followed, but I had a head start. Morrison had given me an emergency contact number. I called while driving, speaker on, hands shaking. This is Officer Martinez. Detective Morrison is en route. Where are you? Leaving the hospital parking garage. They're following me in a white van. Head to the police station. Do not stop anywhere else. But as I turned onto Main Street, I realized they weren't following me anymore. The van had vanished. My phone rang. Morrison. Where's the van? Gone. They just disappeared. That's not good. They're going to clean up evidence. How fast can you get here? I made it to the station in 12 minutes. Morrison was waiting with a federal agent named Phillips, who looked like he hadn't smiled since the Clinton administration. We need that evidence drive, Phillips said. I handed it over, and within minutes they had a warrant for Dr. Blackwood's arrest. But when they reached his house, it was empty, cleaned out. No sign of him anywhere. He's running, Morrison said. But we've got enough to issue warrants. The photos you found match 5 of the missing children. What about Luna Rodriguez? She's scheduled for surgery Tuesday. We'll have protection on her, but they won't try anything now that we're onto them. I wanted to believe that, but something nagged at me. These people had operated for over a decade without detection. They wouldn't give up that easily. The next morning I stayed home, but guilt ate at me. Normal surgeries were still happening. Patients needed care, and Dr. Blackwood's sudden absence would raise questions. I decided to go in for the afternoon shift. Morrison assigned 2 officers to stay close. The hospital felt different. Conversations stopped when I walked by. Nurses whispered in corners. Word had leaked about Dr. Blackwood's disappearance, though the full story wasn't public yet. Dr. Patel found me in the break room. Rachel, what's going on? Kenneth missed his morning surgeries and no one can reach him. I don't know, I lied. Maybe family emergency? But Dr. Patel looked skeptical. His emergency contacts say they haven't heard from him, and security found his office computer wiped clean. That afternoon, I was assigned to assist Dr. Walsh on a routine gallbladder removal. The patient was a middle-aged man named Trevor who seemed nervous about the procedure. First surgery? I asked while starting his IV. Second, he said. Had my appendix out as a kid. Different hospital, though. Charity place across town. Something about his voice seemed familiar, but I couldn't place it. As the propofol took effect, Trevor's eyes fluttered closed. Then he started talking. The doctor's coming back tonight, he whispered. He has a new place, underground. Can't hear the children crying from down there. My blood turned to ice. Trevor, can you hear me? I asked. He knows you found the pictures. He's angry, really angry. Dr. Walsh looked at me questioningly. I increased the sedation, but Trevor continued. The girl with the dark hair, Luna. He moved up the schedule. Tonight at midnight. The old psychiatric hospital on Elm Street. Trevor, where did you hear this? I helped him build the room. New room. Deeper underground. He paid me good money to keep quiet. The surgery proceeded, but my mind raced. When Trevor woke up in recovery, I had to ask, "Do you remember anything from before surgery?" He looked confused. "Just going to sleep." "Why?" "You mentioned someone named Luna." Trevor's face went white. "I don't know anyone named Luna." But his eyes told a different story. Fear. The same fear I'd seen in Evangeline's eyes. I excused myself and called Morrison. They moved the location, the old psychiatric hospital on Elm Street, tonight at midnight. "How do you know this?" "Another patient under anesthesia. They're using some kind of network to communicate. We'll set up surveillance. But Rachel, you need to stay away from the hospital. If they're using patients to pass messages, they know you're listening." I agreed, but as I left work that evening, I noticed a car following me home, different from yesterday's van, a blue sedan with tinted windows. At home, I called the police. The car was gone by the time they arrived. "Probably nothing," the officer said, "but we'll increase patrols in your neighborhood." That night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. At 11 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. "Dr. Chen?" A child's voice. Scared. "Who is this?" "Luna." "I'm supposed to be asleep, but I heard them talking. They're coming for me tonight." My heart stopped. "Where are you?" "Foster home on Maple Street. The mean lady is asleep." I hid in the closet with her phone. "Luna, listen to me carefully. Call 911 right now. Tell them you're in danger." I already tried. They said they'd send someone, but no one came. This couldn't be happening. Morrison had promised protection. "Stay hidden. I'm calling Detective Morrison." But when I called Morrison's number, it went straight to voicemail. I tried the main police line. "This is Dr. Chen. I need to report a child abduction in progress." "Ma'am, we have no record of any child named Luna Rodriguez in our protection database." "That's impossible." Detective Morrison assigned protection. "Let me transfer you to Detective Morrison's supervisor." The supervisor had never heard of Luna Rodriguez, had never assigned protection. Morrison had left work early today and wasn't answering his phone. I felt the world tilt sideways. Morrison was part of it. He'd played me perfectly, getting me to hand over all the evidence while feeding information back to the network. I called Luna back. No answer. I grabbed my car keys and drove to Maple Street, calling 911 from the road. "There's a child abduction happening at 2847 Maple Street. Send units immediately." "Ma'am, we received a call about that address earlier." Officers responded. Everything was fine. "Check again." But when I reached the address, police cars were already there, red and blue lights strobing in the darkness. An ambulance pulled away as I parked. "What happened?" I asked an officer. "Foster mother had a heart attack. Kid's been taken to emergency placement." "Where? Which hospital?" "Memorial." "My hospital." They'd brought Luna directly to Dr. Blackwood's territory. I raced back to Memorial, but the emergency placement ward was locked down. Visiting hours over. No information given to non-family members. "I'm an anesthesiologist here," I told the night supervisor. "I need to check on Luna Rodriguez. We have no patient by that name. She was just brought in from emergency placement." "Ma'am, I've been here all evening. No children have been admitted." They'd never brought her here officially, which meant they had her somewhere else in the building, somewhere off the books. I used my keycard to access the restricted areas, storage rooms, abandoned wards, maintenance levels. Memorial was a 100-year-old hospital with forgotten corners and unused spaces. In the basement, I found something that made my stomach drop. Fresh construction work. A new wall where there had been a hallway before, but it wasn't finished. There was a gap near the floor, just big enough to crawl through. I squeezed through into darkness. My phone's flashlight revealed a narrow tunnel leading deeper underground. The air was stale and cold. After 20 feet, the tunnel opened into a room. A horrible room. Children's drawings taped to concrete walls, mattresses on the floor, and in the corner, chains. But the room was empty. A sound echoed from deeper in the tunnel. Voices, adults talking in low tones. I followed the sound, moving as quietly as possible. The tunnel branched several times like a maze, but the voices grew louder. "The doctor said to wait until 3 a.m., a man was saying. "Less chance of interruption." "What about the anesthesiologist?" "She's becoming a problem. She'll be dealt with after tonight. Focus on the task at hand." I reached a junction where I could see into another room. Luna sat on a chair, hands zip-tied behind her back, but she was awake and alert. Two men stood with their backs to me. Neither was Dr. Blackwood. Where was he? "When's the doctor arriving?" one asked. "Soon. He's bringing the equipment." Equipment? They were going to perform some kind of procedure down here, in this underground horror chamber. I backed away quietly and called the FBI tip line. "This is Dr. Rachel Chen. I've found a child trafficking operation at Memorial Hospital. Underground tunnels. I need immediate assistance." "Ma'am, this is a very serious accusation. Are you certain of what you're reporting?" "There's a 10-year-old girl named Luna Rodriguez being held captive right now. Basement level. Northwest corner. Units are being dispatched. Stay on the line and remain at a safe distance." But as I waited, I heard Luna scream. I couldn't wait for backup. I crawled back through the tunnel, this time looking for anything I could use as a weapon. In a storage room, I found a heavy flashlight and a scalpel from my medical kit. When I returned to the junction, Luna was crying. One of the men was talking to her in a soothing voice that made my skin crawl. "The doctor just wants to help you sleep. You won't feel anything." I stepped into the room. "Step away from her." Both men spun around. One reached for something under his jacket. "I wouldn't," I said, holding up the scalpel. "I know exactly where to cut to make you bleed out in 30 seconds. "Dr. Chen," the first man said with mock surprise, "you shouldn't be here. Neither should you. Let her go." "That's not going to happen." The second man lunged forward. I slashed with the scalpel, catching him across the forearm. He screamed and stumbled back, blood pouring from the wound. "Luna, run!" She bolted past me toward the tunnel. The first man tried to intercept her, but I hit him with a heavy flashlight. He went down hard. "This way!" I shouted, following Luna through the maze of tunnels. Behind us, footsteps echoed. More than 2 sets. Others were coming. We reached the main tunnel, but voices were coming from that direction too. We were trapped. "In here," I whispered, pulling Luna into a side passage I'd noticed earlier. This tunnel was narrower, barely wide enough for an adult. We crawled through darkness, Luna sobbing quietly. After what felt like hours but was probably 10 minutes, we emerged into a storage room I recognized. We were back in the main hospital. I checked my phone. 17 missed calls from federal agents. "Luna, we're safe now," I said. "The FBI is here." But as we opened the storage room door, Dr. Blackwood stood waiting in the hallway. "Hello, Rachel. I was wondering when you'd find your way down there." He was holding a syringe. "It's over," I said. "The FBI knows everything. They know what I allowed them to know. Detective Morrison has been very helpful in managing information flow." Luna pressed against my back, trembling. "Let her go," I said. "Take me instead." Dr. Blackwood smiled coldly. "Oh, I'm taking both of you. You've caused considerable damage to our operation. That requires consequences. The FBI is in the building right now. The FBI is searching the basement. They won't find anything. We've had contingency plans for years." He moved closer with the syringe. I pushed Luna behind me. "Run," I whispered, but she couldn't get past Dr. Blackwood in the narrow hallway. "This is succinylcholine," he said, holding up the syringe. "You'll be paralyzed but conscious. You'll feel everything we do to you." "You sick bastard. 23 children, Rachel. And you had to interfere." He lunged forward with the needle. I grabbed his wrist, trying to force it away from my arm. We struggled, the syringe between us. Luna suddenly screamed at the top of her lungs. "Help! He's trying to hurt us!" Her voice echoed through the hospital corridors. Dr. Blackwood looked distracted for just a moment. I twisted his wrist sharply. The syringe flew across the hallway and shattered against the wall. "Federal agents! Nobody move!" 3 men in tactical gear rounded the corner, weapons drawn. Dr. Blackwood raised his hands slowly. "Officers, thank goodness you're here. This woman attacked me." "She's been acting erratically all week." "Dr. Chen," the lead agent asked. "That's me. He was trying to inject me with succinylcholine." The agent noticed the broken syringe and Dr. Blackwood's position over me. "Dr. Blackwood, you're under arrest. This is a misunderstanding. I was trying to sedate a disturbed employee who was endangering a patient. With a paralytic drug in a hospital hallway?" The agent looked skeptical. As they cuffed Dr. Blackwood, he made eye contact with me. "This isn't over," he said quietly. "You have no idea how deep this goes." Luna and I were escorted to safety while federal agents secured the hospital. The underground tunnels were documented as evidence. The photos and files I'd found led to arrests across 3 states. But Dr. Blackwood was right about one thing. It went deeper than anyone imagined. Detective Morrison was arrested at his home the next morning. The investigation revealed a network of corrupt officials, medical professionals, and others who had been trafficking children for over 15 years. Caspian, Dorian's brother, was captured trying to cross the Canadian border. Under questioning, he revealed locations where other children were being held. Over the next 6 months, 43 children were recovered alive. The network had been selling them to wealthy buyers who used them for unspeakable purposes before discarding them. Evangeline testified at the trials. She'd known about Dorian's activities for years, but had been too terrified to report them. Her confession under anesthesia had saved dozens of lives. "I knew something like this would happen eventually," she told me when we met for coffee a year later. "Part of me wanted to be caught. I couldn't live with the guilt anymore." Luna was placed with a loving family who helped her recover from the trauma. She visits me sometimes at the hospital. She wants to be a doctor when she grows up. "So I can help people like you helped me," she says. "I still work as an anesthesiologist, but I listen differently now. Every word a patient speaks under sedation gets documented. You never know what secrets they're carrying, what truth is trying to escape." Dr. Blackwood was sentenced to life without parole. During his trial, he never showed remorse. He maintained that he was providing a service to people with specialized needs. The playground where the 7 children died was turned into a memorial garden. Their names are carved in stone, along with the names of the other victims we found. I visit sometimes, especially on difficult days. It reminds me why the work matters, why listening to those whispered confessions in the operating room can save lives. Last month, a new patient started talking under anesthesia about her husband's hidden storage unit, about missing hikers and shallow graves in the mountains. I documented every word. The cycle continues, but now someone is listening. Recently, I've been training other anesthesiologists to recognize the signs of trauma-induced confession. We've created a protocol for documenting and reporting suspicious statements made under sedation. The Evangeline Protocol, we call it. 3 months ago, a 7-year-old boy named Finn started babbling about his stepfather's special games during a routine tonsillectomy. The details he provided led to the discovery of a local child abuse ring involving a youth sports league. 12 children were saved because we listened. The work takes a toll. I've started seeing a therapist to process the horror that passes through my operating rooms. Some nights I still wake up thinking about those children in the underground tunnels, about how many others we didn't save. But I also think about Luna, thriving in her new home. About the 43 survivors who are rebuilding their lives. About the families who finally have answers about their missing children. Dr. Patel approached me last week with a research proposal. He wants to study the phenomenon of anesthesia-induced truth-telling, to better understand the neurological mechanisms that allow suppressed memories and secrets to surface during sedation. "This could revolutionize how we investigate crimes," he said. If we can understand why it happens, we might be able to use it more effectively. I agreed to participate. The more we understand about this phenomenon, the more children we can save. The hospital administration initially resisted the Evangeline protocol. They worried about liability issues and patient privacy concerns. But after the arrests and convictions, they realized the importance of documenting these confessions. We now have a secure reporting system that connects directly to federal law enforcement databases. Any suspicious statement made under anesthesia is immediately flagged for investigation. Last week, I received a letter from a mother in Oregon. Her daughter had been missing for 3 years before our network led to her recovery. She wanted to thank me for listening to Evangeline's words that night. "You gave me my daughter back," she wrote. "You gave our family hope again." These letters keep me going on the hardest days. I still think about Dr. Blackwood sometimes, about how he used his position of trust to facilitate unspeakable crimes, how he hid behind the respect society gives to medical professionals. It makes me more vigilant about my colleagues, more aware of the signs of predatory behavior. The network we uncovered included doctors, nurses, social workers, police officers, people in positions meant to protect children. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it wears scrubs and carries a stethoscope, but good people can make a difference. Every day, healthcare workers across the country are listening more carefully to their patients, asking better questions, recognizing signs of abuse and trafficking. The underground tunnels at Memorial have been sealed and converted into additional storage space. But sometimes, when I'm working late, I think about what happened down there, about the children who suffered in darkness while the hospital operated normally overhead. It reminds me to stay vigilant, to keep listening. Yesterday, a teenage girl named Paisley whispered about her foster family's photography business while under anesthesia. The details she provided are currently being investigated by federal agents. Paisley doesn't remember talking. When she woke up, she asked if the surgery went well. I assured her it did, then made my report. In a few days, she might be free from whatever hell she's been living in, all because she told the truth while unconscious. The Evangeline protocol has now been adopted by hospitals in 12 states. Medical professionals are being trained to recognize and respond to trauma-induced confessions. We estimate that over 200 children have been saved so far. It's not enough. It will never be enough. But it's a start. Every time I put someone under anesthesia, I listen carefully. You never know who needs saving. You never know whose whispered words might expose the monster hiding in plain sight. The work continues. The listening continues. And somewhere out there, another child might go home because someone paid attention to words spoken in unconsciousness. That's worth carrying the weight of these secrets. That's worth the sleepless nights and the therapy sessions. That's worth everything. Because Evangeline was right. The children in the walls were hungry. But now someone is finally feeding them justice instead of fear. Luna sends me a Christmas card every year. This year's had a drawing of a doctor with a stethoscope and the words, "Thank you for listening." I keep it on my desk at the hospital. A reminder of why the work matters. A reminder to keep listening to the voices that can only speak in darkness. The truth has a way of surfacing, even when consciousness can't let it free. All we have to do is listen.